A furry in general is essentially someone that is interested in anthropomorphic animals.
Is it like sexually interested?
No. Here's you can get up to thousands and thousands, even like tens of thousands for some fursuits, for like the really high quality stuff. Scientists need to be conscious of what their science says and what society thinks it says.
Like, I still haven't gone through a deep dive to actually make my decisions or to make my like firm kind of opinions on that kind of stuff. I try to remain like with an open mind, and you were scared of what they would say if you had come out?
Yeah, exactly. Because I was very, what we say, straight passing. There's a person in here, and I know I'm that person. I'm a guy under here. Don't let other people say you have to be something else.
Hello, you beautiful people. Welcome back to the Long-Term Podcast. I'm your host, Adven. Today, we have an exchange student from the United States, and this is his last week in Canada. Before running home to Idaho, we got Peanut. He is a furry, and we will discuss the furry community, science versus emotion and politics, social issues, and LGBTQ2+ politics. Peanut is very, very intelligent, and he speaks honestly, and he has found his truth, which is being in the furry community. He has a lot of great insight onto politics, onto what the furry community is like, and it seems like a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions when it comes to the furry community. So this will be a good way for you to find out what it's truly like around them. But yeah, they're just people at the end of the day, but they just wear dog costumes that cost thousands. But yeah, it was very interesting, and I'm very thankful for Peanut. Everybody, welcome. All right, welcome to the Long-Term Podcast. Peanut, everyone.
Hello, it is me, Peanut.
Yeah, so for people who only know the furry community through stereotypes or on the internet, how would you explain what it actually is, what draws people to it?
Right, so a furry in general is essentially someone that is interested in anthropomorphic animals, anthropomorphic being having human characteristics. So think like Zootopia 2, but in a like more general sense. So being interested in just animals that walk or talk or have human intelligence, that kind of thing. And I say interest in the most general sense.
Is it like sexually interested?
No. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So the way I like to compare it, it's no different than like, the Marvel or the DC community. It's just people that are like, hey, this is a cool thing that I like. And then you'll get people that make artwork of it, make costumes of it, although ours are usually a little more expensive, but go to events, talk about it, make up their own characters, that kind of thing. So it's an interest in a very broad, normal sense. And obviously, like every community, there are sexual aspects to it, but that's not what the community is about. That's not what it is.
Yeah, well, you're always going to get outliers, right? There's going to be people that take it to the extreme, and there's going to be people that are going to be messed up, but that doesn't mean that's every single person within that demographic.
Yes. No. And it's not because they are a furry that they do this. It's because they do these things, and sometimes they'll use the furry community as a scapegoat, or they'll use it to say like, hey, I'm a furry and I'm doing all this stuff. And then again, with a lot of different communities, and we'll kind of come out and, say, no, this bad. A huge thing is zoophilia, people that have a sexual attraction to animals. That's a no. That's furries. I want to be very clear to people. That is bad. Furries do not agree with this. They are not a part of our community in any way, shape, or form. No.
Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest misconceptions,
exactly.
Right? Like furries are just attracted to animals.
Exactly. And it's just, it gets tiring because people will they'll say stuff like that all the time, and it's just like, if you figure out what the furry community is about, you'll realize, okay, it's not that's not what it is. Like, seriously, no.
Yeah, fair.
um
Now, what first got you into the furry community? Like, what
Yeah.
age were you?
So, oh god, I probably around 10, 11, 12ish. um I God, this is gonna sound weird. Not weird, but my first thing that kind of got me thinking about it was actually How to Train Your Dragon, of all things, which Toothless, big dragon in there,
I love that
is
movie,
it
bro.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's not, he's not anthropomorphic per se. He's still, animal doing things. He's a smart guy, but that just kind of started getting me thinking, like, oh my god, I love this guy. And slowly that sort of just like looking around for art online, things like that, hearing people talk, it kind of just led me to just the community, like realizing, oh, people like this sort of stuff, but then they'll go further. And then when I like say watch Zootopia, and I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. And obviously out of Zootopia, there's a huge outpour from the furry community of like, this is perfect. This is what we need. And that kind of just drew me in as like a young teen. I can't remember how old I was when that movie came out, probably like 14 or something. And from there it kind of just developed. And then throughout like middle school and high school, I started developing like my own character. I have drawings at home of friends that friends made of early versions of Peanut. And I still have those taped up and everything. And they weren't furries themselves, but they were just like, dude, that's so cool to imagine you as an animal. I was like, yeah, that's so cool. And then as I get older, I realized, okay, so this is like a fursona. This is something that people normally do. It's not like some weird thing that I'm just thinking of out of nowhere.
Would you say it's a part of you, or is it like another version of you?
It's
Peanut.
that's kind of complicated because it kind of blends. So I sort of, in general, when it comes to like the general public, I like to think of them as two separate identities. Because I'm not going to take the head off in the middle of, if I'm going to some event, I'm not usually going to take the head off unless I'm somewhere away. Partly because I like to think of it as Peanut can be used as an escape sometimes. Something to just forget that I have like school and work and money stresses, and Peanut doesn't. I'm me.
That's
I'm
awesome.
just a little dog.
So you use it like a little conduit for when times get really tough, and when school is heavy, and maybe some friendships have gone awry.
Mhm.
Family members are maybe mad, but you put on this costume and it's freedom for you.
Exactly.
Because for once you just get to be a dog.
There you go.
You get
yeah.
to, because when you look at a dog, it's like, what do they don't work. They
exactly.
don't really do much unless like there's a robber and they protect, but chances of that happening for a house dog is very minimal.
Exactly.
Like, they go about the day and there's not much things to do.
Mhm.
And it's freeing, right? Seeing like,
Yeah.
people ask me what animal I would be. If I'd say I would be a house dog.
Hell yeah, there you
Because
go.
they live lavishly, especially if you're born into a great family.
Mhm.
Not every dog is fortunate to be in a great family, just like with people as well.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you could see the love that people have for the dogs. You're a big dog person?
I am a huge dog person. Yes.
Mhm.
Back in Idaho, we've got 2 big Labradors at home. My whole family and I, we love them to death.
Ooh.
They are spoiled rotten. They are not guard dogs in any sense of the word, other than they'll like to growl at someone walking by your fence, but the second you cross, they'll be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, hello, friend."
They're on the robber's side.
Exactly. It's like, hey, here's our safe. Here's when we leave.
Yeah.
You could just come on in,
Come on in.
hang
Come on
out, do whatever you want. Exactly.
So what has being part of the furry community taught you about identity, belonging, or self-expression that you don't think people talk about enough?
Yeah. So, do you mean like not talking enough in the furry community, or just in general?
Just in general, like what have
Yeah.
you like what has it taught you to talk with fellow
Yeah.
furries that you don't get out of being a student or maybe a son or like being a worker?
Yeah.
What does it give to you that other communities can't?
The it's it's hard to think of, because the furry community, what I found is that they are overwhelmingly like open and accepting. There's limits to that, obviously, like we talked about, but you'll see people from all kinds of different backgrounds and demographics, ways of life, all that, and they come in together to say, hey, you know what? Sometimes we all just want to walk around as a dog. We all want to walk around as a cat or a tiger or a lynx or something. Um, and part of that identity is that you don't have to think of yourself as just what other people want you to be. You can think of yourself as you. I think it was Shakespeare that said the world's a stage. We often go out, and our identity is made up of oftentimes just what people say about us. I go out, and what people say about me and what I hear all of the time is, okay, you're a university student. Your job is that, I'm not going to try and dox myself or something out here, people. I'm sorry. The most you'll know is I live in North Idaho. Um, but you're all this, you're all that. But then you come back into the furry community, and your identity is whatever you want it to be, not just your furry identity, but your identity in general. You're told, you can be who you want to be here. You can make your own identity, and you can find your own sense of belonging, because there are like different sub communities in the furry community, for example, that you can find yourself more drawn to than others. Like different species. They have their own little communities inside those. And you can find belonging yourself, rather than, if you go out into the world, more often you're told, like, okay, well, these labels fit you, so you need to go join these groups. You belong to these groups, rather than, oftentimes you're not given as much leeway to be able to do it yourself. You'll say, well, I kind of like this group more. And there's well, that's not for you, because you don't take these classes, or because you were born in this area. I don't know, things like that. Um, I feel like I'm rambling here. But,
No, it's all good. Yeah.
But being part of the furry community, it kind of just teaches you that you can be who you want to be, rather than who other people want you to be. It gives you that freedom, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, you're put in a box with every single day. There are things that people treat you a certain way, whether you're a student. It's like when you're a bio student, people expect you to be maybe a doctor, maybe a marine biologist, or when you go to the gym, you're expected there to be healthy. And there's all these things that we get stretched out in different ways, right? That society demands of us. Maybe start a family and all this stuff, and it's all very structured. But then there's people such as yourself that deviate away from the norm, and they're furry. Maybe they like to dress up, and they if you find yourself, if you feel happy doing that and you're not hurting anyone, then why do people judge? Like, why can't we all just like get along? But like a lot of people may say, oh, that's like weird, that's that goes out of the norm. But then again, right, like who decided that? And it's great. It's great that you've been able to find your own community. And maybe for a lot of people it's weird, like they view that and they're like, what's this guy doing? But if Peanut is living his best life, then who's the Why should other people,
Yeah,
say otherwise? Why should people tell you not to do that when you're not hurting anyone,
exactly.
right?
And sometimes I embrace the label of weird.
Mm,
Furries compared to normative standards, boring. Yeah, sure, we're weird. And that's okay. It's okay to be weird sometimes.
yeah,
Weird isn't bad. It's different. And
yeah.
we like to be different in our own ways. You do a podcast. That's different.
What?
Most people don't think they want to do something like that. I dress up as a dog all day. That's different. But we both have fun with it.
Yeah,
We both enjoy it. We do things that we like to
of
do with it. And that's okay because you're not hurting someone with it,
course.
hopefully. And I'm
Yeah.
not hurting anybody either. Trust me.
Well, other people may argue though that the
Mhm.
fact that you are dressed up as a furry and the fact that you're dressed up in a different species, you're
Mhm.
dressed up as a dog, it may affect other people watching that, because other kids who might feel lost and they might look at that and be like, "Oh, I'm so lost. If I just buy this suit, buy this costume, then I can feel a part of them when really it's not them." Like, what do you have to say
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah. That's it's it is a mixture of, and you were talking about like kids and stuff.
Yeah.
That's kind of a unique situation because it's, kids might not have the right thought and reasoning. They might want to dive into something way too much. And I've had my fair share of stuff like that. I'm sure many people have. Um, it's a question of, take the time to make sure what you're looking at is what feels right. Try it out. If you want to get into the furry community, but you're not sure about it, you just like, I don't know, you saw me, for example, and you're like, hey, this is kind of cool, I guess, but I don't really know much about it. Well, don't dive in and say, oh, well, now I got to spend a whole bunch of money if I want to belong. For example, I think it's only like, can't remember the exact statistic, like 25 to 30% of furries are actually own a fursuit. So I'm actually kind of in the minority of that group. A lot of them don't have this much because these things are expensive. Like if I commission my suit right now, it would be about, because I got a kind of a smaller maker. It would be about 4,000 USD. I think that's what,
Wow.
5,500 Canadian bucks.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, and that's
Mhm.
that's on the lower end of price tiers. You can get up to thousands and thousands, even like tens of thousands for some fursuits for like the really high quality stuff. I mean, this thing is high quality, but um, you don't want to do something that you might regret later. But if you want to do things, little things to try and experiment, go on um image sharing websites or whatever. I think like DeviantArt, Fur Affinity, things like that. Look around. Maybe try, if you're artistic, try drawing. Um, you know, draw how you see yourself if you could be an animal. Um, talk to people online. If you have any friends that think might be interested in that, or just your friends in general, bring it up. I know I first brought it up to my friends, not really understanding what the hell I was thinking. And they're like, "Oh, that's cool. You being an animal? That would be awesome." So they were the ones that helped me kind of get into it. They didn't know about the furry community either, but it kind of helped me develop that sense of, okay, this isn't, that bad. It's just different. Um
Okay. So you
so
you reflect and you go through all these thought
exactly.
experiments, and you go
Mhm.
about it and you talk to your friends, and you talk to your family.
Mhm.
Uh, I know it can be really hostile. They like a lot of people, especially online. Do
Yeah.
you feel like communities like this become more important when the outside world feels hostile or must understood, and why?
Yeah. So it becomes important, and this applies to many communities in general, but the furry community especially. Um, a lot of people in our community are part of like minority groups that are targeted often, and they themselves bring that experience of a hostile world. Everyone will deal with something like this at some point, not necessarily being like a targeted minority, but just that sense of feeling like the world's against you. And things are scary outside and you just want to you just want things to be different. Communities like this, they they give you a place to not only escape, because everyone wants to escape a little bit sometimes, but we also have to acknowledge the world we're in. But what being in a community like this gives you is a sense of comfort, knowing that you're not alone in your struggles. Everyone has struggles that they can bring in that we can empathize with. And if you have some unique struggle that not many people, have faced or understand, the furry community is still very open and welcoming. We will gladly listen. We will be a shoulder to lean on. We will be a shoulder to cry on. And it helps you feel less lonely in the world. And sometimes that's what you need. The world outside is scary. You've got all these laws being passed. You've got people on TV yelling about someone in your community is a bad person. Therefore, everyone in that community is a bad person, right? And it just helps you feel like you're not alone in the world. You're being targeted, but there are other people out there that are saying, you're not a bad guy, and we're with you. And sometimes that's what we need. We need to know that we're not alone in the world.
Yeah, if a lot of people really feel down in the dumps, they have a lot of trauma, and it's good to know that there are other people who think the same, and community is so essential to be able to get out of the hole.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good to know that if you try hard enough, whether it be the furry community, if you go to the gym, or if you are a student, or if you want to get into law, there's people in the exact same situation as you, right, dealing with the exact same things.
Mm-hmm.
And if not at the present moment, someone in the past or someone in the future is going to experience the exact same thing as you are. So, like, yes, the world can be very hostile, but at the same time, you can form bonds with people in the turmoil, in the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And does it get hot in there? Like you must be cooking.
Oh yeah. Speaking of which,
you must be very very hot right now.
Yeah. Just so people on camera know, this is a fan. It is not a vape.
Looks like a vape.
It looks like about 3 times the size of a vape. I don't vape. If you vape, whatever.
Have you ever vaped?
Not.
No, never.
Hell no. No vaping, no drinking, no smoking anything.
Clean.
I mean, I live in Idaho, so if I had to smoke weed, then I would be the criminal because I'd have to drive over to Washington like everyone else does.
Yeah.
No, this is not a vape. This is. Hold on. I don't even know if you can hear it in here, but this thing is a lifesaver. Like, seriously.
You must be like, are you sweating all the time in there?
Yeah, so I am sweating quite a bit. I've got a base layer, what is it, Under Armour heat gear on. Oh, by the way, side note, this popsicle here, this is also a fan, but it is about as loud as a vacuum cleaner, so I am I won't blow that into your mic. Hold on, is my badge right? My badge is right.
Yeah, no, I just hit the sauna this morning, and I can't imagine, like, that must be a sauna in there all the time.
Yeah, it's like a low-grade sauna. The upside is, no matter how cold it is outside, I stay warm.
Good.
It's perfect.
And you must be well adapted to the heat, though. Out of that, like when it's like plus 30 outside, you must like not really feel it.
That's probably hot in Fahrenheit. I don't know.
Yeah. Or what about when it's plus 30 and you have that suit on? What does that feel like?
That's happened. So I got my suit finished May of this year, right when I got out of university for the spring semester back in the US. And North Idaho gets hot. For anyone that knows Fahrenheit out there, 100 plus Fahrenheit day isn't unheard of in North Idaho. We got a couple of those. Oh, my jaw's not cooperating. Yeah.
Get in there.
There we go. Anyways.
Does it like move? How does that work?
Oh, yeah. Good question, because I didn't make it.
Like
but
it's just locked into your like chin,
yeah,
like in the jaw,
it's just
and
very stretchy, I guess.
and moves
I don't
with your
know.
mouth.
It moves with my mouth. I have to move my jaw a little bit more than usual, but
Oh, okay.
it's worth it. Honestly,
Oh,
it was
dope.
worth the extra money.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, yeah, it gets hot out, and 90 plus, 80 plus, 100 plus. I've still fursuited at events like that. Um, I think the first event I ever suited at was early June. We had Family Day in the park in Coeur d'Alene, and it's just a big festival in like the downtown park. That was the first event I'd ever been at. Hot as hell, early June, and I just go there and just say hi to people and walk around. And honestly, I was like worried because our town was made famous with a white supremacist group trying to
Mm.
storm our Pride in the Park event like 2022 or 2023 or something.
Mm.
So a little worrying, but actually really positive reception in general. Um, a lot of people ignored me, obviously, which is fine. I didn't have anyone try to stab me or anything, or well, it's America, so I didn't have anyone that was open carrying to shoot me in the park. That would suck. um, but plenty of people coming to say hi. A lot of people there with their kids. Their kids especially will come run over and be like, "Oh my god, it's a dog!" And they'll be like, "Are you a mascot for something? Are you like, is this for a company?" And I'm just like, "No, just well, I don't say it because you guys are lucky. I don't normally speak in suit. I'm a silent suitor normally. So my
Mm.
handler, whoever that is for the day, will usually speak for me.
You have a
Um,
handler with you,
a handler,
like.
yeah. So back in Idaho, that handler was either were my parents actually, surprisingly enough. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, they're
They're kind of like the owner, like a role play type
no, no,
deal,
no, no,
or
no, no,
like.
no, not okay. So, handler in the furry community just means like someone that hangs out with you while you're in fursuit to just like keep
Oh,
an eye
okay.
on
Like
you.
they don't like take you out on walks, that type of deal.
No,
Okay. Okay.
no, I get
Yeah.
it though.
Yeah.
No, they just like you know, carry your backpack for you if you got one. Well, I'll usually carry my backpack because it's got all
Oh,
my
okay.
pins on it. But just like if you need water, grab your water bottle. Make sure no one's like trying to pull on my tail. Um,
Mm.
if people want pictures, they'll take the pictures for you. If people have questions for me or they're trying to get my attention, they'll like talk to them or they'll get my attention. Because it's like I can barely see in this thing. So like for example, I've got a big blind spot here. I can't see you at all right now.
Oh,
I gotta
wow.
turn my head to see you. Let's see. Like right now, I can't see the camera.
Right.
And then if I look at the camera, yeah, now I can't see you.
Oh, wow.
Um, well, I'm getting fur all over this
It's all
mic.
good.
I'm
It's all
sorry.
good, man. It's all good.
I'm shedding.
Yeah.
But that's why I have a handler. Anyone out there in the furry community or interested in it, get a handler. Even if you're wearing just a partial, if you're just wearing the head or something like, well, you have to have the head on, and then you can't see. Get a
Yeah.
handler.
Right.
It could be a friend. For me, it was a
Mhm.
family member. I've managed to drag my brother out once to be my handler. He
Mm.
was a little uncomfortable, but he agreed to it. So I love
Yeah.
him for that, and I love my
Yeah.
parents for doing that.
That's awesome. Did you?
They're oh god,
Yeah.
my
Were they
my
hesitant at first, or
no,
did they?
they weren't hesitant. So they knew I was a furry. They knew since oh god, I told them I say
Mm.
come out very
Mhm.
loosely because it's not like something huge in and of itself, but a lot of people will like freak out about it. For example, I have a friend back home who's a furry, and I'm not going to give any info about him because I don't want him to get in trouble, but they can't tell their parents they're furry because their parents are super like religious and like right wing, and they'll get mad, and it's like, dude, I'm walking around like a dog. I'm not like skinning people in my basement. Like, come on. But some
Yeah.
people will freak out about it and say it's like some horrible demonic whatever thing. I've oh god, I've had people say like, "Are you just trying to lure kids?" And I'm just like, yes, I walk around in a public park with thousands of people in it to lure kids in public. Totally. No.
Mhm.
Are you kidding me? I
Yeah.
walk around because people like this and I like doing it. It makes people happy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Spreading positivity.
hell yeah, exactly. I am that's why I love doing this so much. I draw my energy and that this is part of why I have a golden retriever wolf hybrid as my persona because I get energy from other people being happy about this. You know, if you saw me out of suit, you would not in a million years think this is what I would be doing. Cuz I'm very like quiet and laid back and reclusive outside of suit. But when I'm Peanut, I'm happy, I'm energetic, and other people love that and it's a feedback loop. It makes me happy seeing other people be happy. That makes me more energetic and more people are happy. It's awesome.
And what's the dating community like in the furry community?
It's-
Like, do you guys like date each other based on the costume, like,
Nah.
or is it just when you take the suit off? Is that a thing?
Oh god. Yeah, it's for the people out there, there's a person in this suit. Keep that in mind. Um no, the furry community isn't like people being attracted to each other based on their suits. You know, their personas. They might get like, oh, I see these characteristics, and that might align with the person. You want to get to know the person and you talk about it and you're bonding over the furry community, of course. But you're also just bonding as people. The furry community, it can be used as like a catalyst and a place to meet others. That's not necessarily the purpose. It's not a dating. You know, the furry community isn't just here to get people dates or anything. But obviously, tons of people from the furry community meet in real life or online and they develop relationships.
Well, if you can find love there, then who's to stop you? I think
Exactly.
even in ASL culture,
Mhm.
like you're more likely to marry somebody else who's deaf because that's just they're more similar to
Exactly.
you. If you go to the gym, like you're more likely to marry someone that's gonna go to the gym too. If
Mhm.
you're a student, you're more likely to marry a fellow student. It's depends on kind of which place you go to,
Mhm.
right? Like I know a lot of people struggle with dating and a lot of people struggle with relationships, but it's just like what speaks to you, right?
Exactly.
And then just travel to that route and maybe you'll find someone. And if not, there's more to life than romance.
Exactly.
So as someone studying forensic chemistry,
Mhm.
how do you see science being used or ignored in current political debates?
Oh, that's a fun segue. um, this annoys me especially because I'm sure Canada is familiar with all the fun stuff going on in the US right now, or at least all the big stuff that makes the news. And the big thing I've noticed with current political rhetoric, and this applies outside of the US, obviously, but it's what I'm more accustomed to. I don't know a whole lot about Canadian politics, sadly. Um, but what I've seen is science has often come to the forefront in modern political rhetoric, but not necessarily in the sense that we think. It's not being used to just say, well, science is on this side is right, or this side makes more sense. It's used so that it gives justification for certain things because science can be used and is used to twist certain arguments and twist the data to make it support your viewpoint. You know, you can get the same data, the same study that says, um, you know, out of 100,000 measles vaccine recipients, 4 had an allergic reaction to it or something. And you'll get one side that says, see, this says it's overwhelmingly safe and effective. And yes, there are a couple people that have reactions, but you can look and say, okay, well, they had allergies to something in there. And then you'll get another side that will see that same data set and say, oh my God, 4 people got these from the vaccine. It's dangerous. It's killing people. What? And it's just like, and then both sides, you'll see people say, like, well, science says this, and you can't deny that science says this because, you see the study and say that. And it's like, sure, but you're not looking at the full picture. So science is being used. People people like to see science in things a lot. Well, I say things very vaguely. They like to see science supporting their side because it makes them feel like they're more right. And it doesn't matter if the science is actually saying what they're concluding from it. As long as science says something vaguely supporting to your side, or you can twist it to make it look like that, that's how it's used. Now, science is, of course, used in a good way to actually support an argument. And that's good, especially in politics. You want science determining a lot of your decisions. You don't want emotions to do that. But if you use science for nefarious purposes, that's going to cause huge, catastrophic losses down the road. And we're already seeing that today. Things like climate change, things like vaccine hesitancy. There's a huge movement of that going back in the US. And science is being used to accelerate that, not because science is saying this is something we should be doing, but because people will look at what science is saying and twist it or misinterpret it, either on purpose or on accident.
Mm-hmm. Where do you think the biggest tension lies between evidence-based science and emotion-driven decision-making in politics today?
Oh God, that's easy. Science doesn't always tell us what we want to hear or what we think is right. I'm taking a criminology course right now, and something we learned in there is that scientists need to be conscious of what their science says and what society thinks it says. You need to consider the societal impacts of science, because many people will see, what's a good example? The death penalty is a good one, because in Idaho, the death penalty is still legal. In fact, my state actually, what was it, a year ago? They not only made the firing squad an authorized method of execution, they made it the primary method of execution, the firing squad. And it's like, their reasoning is saying, oh, well, it will deter people and it will save on money because we don't have to take care of them. Well, science doesn't say that. Science actually says that keeping someone on death row or carrying out an execution costs more money overall than someone serving, say, a life sentence in prison with no parole. Because the death penalty, you have to, there's more protocols, there's more appeals processes, there's costs associated with the process that isn't concluded. And scientific studies say, not only does it cost more, it also doesn't work to deter people. It doesn't work as a deterrent at all. You look at states that have harsher penalties for certain crimes, but you don't see that as causing a decrease in offense rates. In fact, a good example of this is southern states, right-wing states. They tend to have significantly harsher criminal justice systems. They might have the death penalty. They might be more willing to give out life sentences. And yet those are the states with like the highest homicide rates, highest gun violence rates, robberies, all kinds of things. If more punishment equals less crime, why isn't that happening? And then you look at like Canada, for example. You've got what's it called? restorative justice, for example, or essentially a more constructive criminal justice system where you're working on fixing the problem rather than just saying, we're just going to toss you in jail and assume you'll come out a better person. That's not what happens.
You ever feel frustrated, like watching scientific facts get overshadowed by ideology or fear? And how do you personally cope with that?
Every day. Yeah, I definitely get frustrated. The big reason, the big thing being when people will just blatantly spread like misinformation or disinformation about certain topics, and if plenty of people will just eat that up and not question it. They'll say, do your own research. But then their research is, I'm going to look on Facebook or I'm going to listen to this one politician saying this is what happens. And then if you actually did research, you'd say, no, that's completely incorrect. Like they in many cases, they're just blatantly lying to you. So it's very frustrating to see that happening. And how do I cope with it? I honestly, I just try to keep myself safe. Ideology drives people's attitudes towards others, whether consciously or unconsciously. So when I live in a state that says, like, for example, gay people in our classrooms are trying to convert our kids, no, that's not happening. But people will take that attitude and then they'll drive more on it and say, like, well, if gay people are doing this, then they must be, also doing all this other bad stuff. And that drives their actions. So they're more likely to, commit hate crimes or, just in general, like verbally harass someone that they perceive to be, gay or trans or whatever. And honestly, all I try to do is protect myself as best as I can, protect others that I can help, any friends I have that might be targeted. I try to say, okay, well, if you're walking home at night, like tell me when you get there or share your location with me or something. Same thing with me. If I'm, going on a trip through like, I'm trying to think of a word for it, but like more close-minded parts. If I'm around that city, I might like share my location with my parents and say like, okay, I'm gonna go down to this area. If you don't hear back from me in a bit, call me or I'll let you know or something. And besides that, as cynical as it sounds, I can't. I just kind of try to distract myself sometimes. This helps. It makes me forget sometimes about all the bad things happening in the world and the fact that other people might be targeting people like me or other groups. Because I don't want to make it sound like I'm a perpetual victim. I'm not. But I try to protect myself and I try to take my mind off it sometimes because sometimes there's not much I can do. I'm not necessarily in a position to change people's minds. I'm not in a place where I can get people to listen and think, I'm not as bad as people sometimes think I am. Yeah.
Yeah, you do what's best for you.
Yeah.
Right. And so you mentioned that anti-LGBTQ plus laws are being passed back home. Right? How has that political climate personally affected you?
Yeah. So I kind of touched on it a little bit, but to go more in depth, how it personally affected me, and this dates back to like back when I was in high school, even because I'm 23 now, so I've been out of high school for quite some time. How it personally affects me back then, I felt like the community around me was hostile, because like personally I'm gay, And that felt like something that I couldn't tell anybody except for a select few people. Um, I like my parents knew, and they were very supportive. I had a very, I had a few friends um, that I kind of hinted at. I didn't explicitly tell them, not because I thought they would like not like me, but because I was worried about other people knowing. Um, because the general community, at least in Idaho and on and off, the country as a whole, was, you know, either they'll go to the extreme of saying like that's bad and you're demonic or whatever. I don't know, far right religious buzzwords that you can throw out there, apply it. And it makes you feel like you can't be you, and that if you are, that you're made out to be a bad person. And that's one thing. If people just decide, oh, I'm just gonna talk shit to you the whole time, it's like, whatever, fuck you, I don't care. But it's the fact that that can affect your life personally at a more what's the word, like physical level, because I would be worried about like being jumped on the school bus or something, or like my bus route, my school bus route. I had a bit of a walk through like a very like empty stretch of road, and if people like could just like watch me on the bus and knew where I get off, like I could get like beat up or something on the way home. Um, I was worried that teachers would find out and use it against me for one way or another. Just like just treat me worse in class, or it could affect my grading. And I was a straight A student in high school. I didn't, I was worried about anything that could possibly harm my grades. So I kept it hidden. And that was because, the 2016 election, I was about 14, 15-ish at the time. So, um, that that election cycle drove people to think, they felt more confident in espouting hatred. And that in turn made me feel like I needed to keep myself hidden more, because otherwise people would not only feel confident enough to use it against me just verbally, but also like engage in violence, you know.
Yeah. So during that election, right? Obviously, there was Trump,
Hmm.
and did you find that people around the school were calling you names, or they were
Hmm.
like it wasn't public yet, right? That you were
Yeah,
gay,
exactly. Yeah.
but
And
but there was that threat, and you were scared
exactly.
of what they would say if you had come out.
Yeah, exactly. Cause um, I was very, what we say, straight passing. You look at me back then, you look at me now, oh God, I would look gay as hell. But back then, I passed for straight, fine. I just kind of sat in the back corner of class and just did my work, didn't really talk to anybody. I was just kind of the quiet kid. Um, but yeah, there was definitely tons of political talk in school. And keep in mind, it's like no one there could vote except for some of the seniors, I guess, because they weren't 18. But tons of people were like being radicalized by their parents, and even themselves, for going on social media endlessly and just saying, oh my God, this Trump guy's doing, he's breaking the status quo, he's challenging the system. And it's like, he's also like justifying white supremacy, pushing transphobia, all kinds of fun stuff. And that was just back in 2016. Oh my God. All the stuff now. Ugh. um so yeah, that election cycle definitely elevated that sense of, I already have all this hatred inside me, and now I can actually like release it instead of just feeling like I have to keep it inside. Um so yeah, the 2016 cycle really worked to suppress people in that community because we felt like our community, or like our geographical communities, like my town, the people there were very, very vocal about their hatred now. You would see protests outside schools saying, you know, no LGBT. I mean, I'm paraphrasing because they'll say something way dumber than this, but they'll say, like, no LGBT indoctrination in our schools. And obviously that doesn't happen like anywhere, but it's people feeling more confident because they feel like they can get away with it, and they feel like they're justified now um, in espousing this hatred. Um, and that carried over to high school, and that still carries over to today. The only difference is that I'm now more confident today.
Mm, yeah, no, growing up, actually, I was very conservative. Like around like in Sherwood Park, especially around this area,
Mhm.
like majority of people are very conservative,
Mhm.
and like I was under the impression that a lot of the schools in the U.S. like they were indoctrinating children
Mhm.
because to talk about their genders and to talk about um like at such a young age
Mhm.
when they should just be playing. They shouldn't be talking about that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But then again, now grown up, like I really don't understand everything. Like I still haven't gone through a deep dive to actually make my decisions or to make my like firm kind of opinions on that kind of stuff. I
Mhm.
try to remain like with an open mind. Um, but like I don't just let one clip decide my opinion. Right
Mhm.
now, just trying to find like the way that people should go about the school system more if it is an actual issue,
Mhm.
because a lot of people will see one clip and they think it's like an overall problem, but
Exactly.
actually talking to the school system, talking to the kids, seeing what it's like, then you should form your opinions. But I feel like a lot of people jump too quickly onto the bandwagon just because it's emotionally invigorating and they just jump on that and then spouting hate. And the way I go about it too is like you're never gonna get people to change their mind through hate, just through calling other people names.
Mhm.
So I think we live under a democracy, right? And we like people should go about it with respect and kind of change and love. I don't know. Maybe it can't work like that. But yeah, I see the rhetoric. I see like a lot of the comments online, even to each other, like the left and the right. And I see so like people on the left, they talk about how despicable the right is and how inhumane they go about things. Like, they're calling each other names. And then the right, they're saying how, they're indoctrinating children and under the LGBTQ, they're too soft. It's bad for society. But it's like nobody's listening to each other.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I just wish there wasn't so much just debacle and just people could
Yeah.
actually just get along. I don't know if that makes sense,
Oh no,
but
totally.
yeah, like
Because it's politics lately has become an us versus them, and it's always kind of been like that. That's kind of the game, is we want our party to win versus the other party. But now more it's like, we want the other party, or we want our party to win because the other party is demons and they're awful and they're killing the country, instead of like, you know back I'm trying to think of specific examples, but like early 2000s, um, maybe. I mean, I wasn't exactly super politically aware back then, but from what I've heard, it was more cooperative and more like, yes, we agree on this issue, but that doesn't make us enemies. We can disagree on this, and your side has certain points. I think my side makes more sense, but I can see why you would think that. And lately, it's driven more into, no, there's no way anything you say could be right ever. And I'm not going to listen to a word you say. And I do say both sides. Yes, that's definitely happened. People want to stay on their end, and they don't want to listen to anything that challenges them. And that happens to everyone, to some extent. And it's gotten worse. And it's unfortunate because then you don't get a chance to construct things. If people can't work together, you're not going to get things done. Um, you know, it's what was it? Abraham Lincoln: "A house divided against itself will not stand." If everyone around you is fighting and everyone is fighting to just get their way, then no one's going to get their way, because you're not going to get anything done. You're going to have people constantly spending too much energy trying to just say their side is right and the other side is wrong, and you won't have any time or energy to say, wait, is what we're saying right? Is what they're saying wrong? How do we actually implement what we want to do? How do we get cooperation? How do we maybe, and you can't do this with every issue, but a lot of issues, how do we compromise on something rather than just say we have to do this policy only our way, and if the other side tries to add an amendment or something to it, no matter what, we're going to reject it, and it's bad. Whereas you could say, okay, well, let's look at this. They're saying this, 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 and this. We're saying this, 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 and this. Well, actually, maybe a little bit of what they're saying makes sense, and it's something that we want too. Maybe we didn't think about it. Maybe we overlooked it because we saw earlier parts that we didn't like. And if more cooperation like that can happen, that's a good way to build up a better, more cooperative climate, not just between politicians, but between people.
Yeah. When you're gunning for what you want and you're not listening to the other side, then how do you know if your right is even right, if it's the truth? Because to get the whole truth, you need to listen to the other side, because it's like an echo chamber. And if all your friends tell you, oh, you're fantastic, you're doing great, but they're all similar to you, you will never know kind of the downsides to your decisions or the possible ramifications, right? Because it's all praise. There's all these things that we could improve on, and to do that, you must talk to the other side. And man, if I told myself that I would be interviewing people from the LGBTQ plus community and having a furry on my show, it's I would be shocked. But since opening my mind up to know that, how am I supposed to find the truth if I alienate other people? If I don't see their side, if I don't really truly talk to them, if all I've ever heard from one community is all the hate and all the things that my side has spouted, then how am I supposed to know what it's truly like to talk to a person from that side, from their thoughts and opinions? And I'm a firm believer of, if you take majority of people and you just have them just plotted on an island, or maybe just at a dinner, and you don't talk about any politics, just the human elements of food, of things that are political, but sometimes food can be very political too. So
holidays,
let's say
family,
holidays,
that kind of
games, camping, everybody would get along, majority of people, not everyone, but that's all this stuff about oh, you're a bad person because you support this bill or this law. At the end of the day, I believe that majority people are good, and that people are painted in a bad light because they are constructed by the media, and all these things are just highlighted. At the end of the day, they're just human, and there are some very bad humans, don't get me wrong. Some of them should be really locked up, but for majority of the part, fellow Edmontonians, fellow Canadians, Americans, a majority of people are good, and I'm a firm believer of that. I always will assume that people are innocent until proven guilty, because a lot of people are assuming they're guilty until proven innocent, which is a very, very, very atrocious way of going about things, because you're under the lens of you're unsafe, and when you talk to people, they can already tell that they've done something wrong when they haven't done anything. So what differences have you noticed between Canada and the US when it comes to LGBTQ2 acceptance policy or everyday interactions?
So my perspective is slightly limited, especially in terms of like policy. Just because I've only been here since like late August and I'm about to leave. So a lot of my perspective of Canada is shaped by like various news articles I'll see and like media representation, not just like, I don't know, I'm not watching like cartoons that just say Canada is this thing, but
South
like,
Park.
oh God, yeah, I haven't watched South Park in a while, but yeah, clips of that is just like, yeah, I've, why isn't your head moving like that? I don't understand. Like they do, why aren't you talking like they do on the show? But um, from what I've gathered in general, and kind of like looking online as well, not like social media, but like I don't know, studies and opinion polls and things like that. In general, and I've seen this in Edmonton as well. It's been more accepting for sure. Um, the general attitude, and obviously every community is going to be somewhat mixed. Edmonton is no exception, I'm sure, but in general, I haven't seen or been given any sense that I need to like hide who I am or that I'm likely to be targeted, like for being gay, for example. Um, I've made friends down here that are trans and non-binary and all kinds of things, visibly speaking. So, but I haven't heard tons of stories of, them being targeted or hated upon. And we'll all go out together. They've been my handlers a few times. Um, we'll go out as groups and we're not facing a bunch of people saying, oh my God, all these queer people running around in my mall. How could they? And I don't get a sense that that would happen. Um, Now, obviously, there is one particular isolated incident, but I'll talk about it a little bit in a bit. But in general, in Canada, I've gotten the feeling that it's okay here. You know, it not necessarily of like everything you're doing is awesome and we love you and here's everything, but I get the sense that, hey, you're gay or lesbian or something, you're an Edmontonian, so that's okay. And that's great. That's all I really want, is that I like being in a community where I don't have to feel like I'm part of the other. Um, you know, Furry, that's one thing. That's a good other to be considered. But if I'm just like walking around, I don't want to have people like staring at me because, I have painted nails or something. I don't want to be thought of as, some sort of cultural other just because of that. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, you just want to belong. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
you want to be a part of something and you don't want to be treated any differently. Like, of
Mhm.
course, to an extent, you're going to be treated in the fur costume as
Yeah.
as a little spectacle. But at
Yeah.
the same time, like, you're human.
Yeah.
And with all your thoughts and emotions, and even outside of the costume, being gay, you just want to be treated as a person, as a human being,
Mhm.
right? Don't we all want to be treated as a human being?
Exactly.
Somebody who deserves love, who deserves compassion, who deserves empathy, who deserves a place in this world.
Mhm.
Yeah, I wish that we all felt like love for each other. I wish we all stopped like thinking about ourselves too much, because I find, I think too much about myself, and like
Mhm.
I forget that, in the grand scheme of things, like I don't matter. Like, yes, I love myself and I want my family to do well, but like at the end of the day, like I live for my family and friends. I want them to be happy. I want to, like, the reason that I suffer, the reason that I do anything is to have more time with my friends and family, and for them to accept me and for me to accept them. And yeah, I think that's what it's all about. Like, we put so much stress on all these things, right? When it's like really the simple things that should matter, that do
Mhm.
matter.
Yeah.
What do you wish people who aren't directly impacted by these laws understood about how politics translates into real human consequences?
Yeah. Yeah. a big thing of that is hard because when people when people group other people as the others, they don't think of them anymore as part of their community. They think of them as those are some people that are away from me and that I don't have to think about. And a lot of what people don't understand is that a couple things. One is that although, some legislation might not directly affect you, it will still indirectly affect you because this is targeting people that are in your community, whether you like it or not. These are, your coworkers. These are the people, working in your stores, working, on your car. Um, even so far as, in politics, people working in government. They're all around you. Your family, your friends, your neighbors. These aren't people that are in some faraway land. These are people around you every day, whether you know it or not. You know, your neighbor could secretly be trans or something, and you didn't have any idea because they passed so well. Your son or your daughter might might have a secret boyfriend or girlfriend that they don't want to tell you about because they feel scared of your reaction. And people also don't seem to realize that things like these laws, they're a problem, or they're a solution looking for a problem. A lot of the times, because the community, the LGBT community, is just looking to just live. We just want to do the same things you do. We just want to, go out. You want to go out in public. We want to be seen in media and education, same as everybody else. We're not asking for more than what the dominant group is already getting. We're just asking for the same thing. People say, "Oh, well, you're asking for LGBT indoctrination class." It's like, no, we're just saying maybe don't pull all the books that say, "Oh, well, this story says that Billy has a mom and a dad." Well, the book next to it says the exact same story, but Bill has two moms or something. And they'll say, "Well, you got to pull that book." And it's like, why? There are plenty of Billies out there that have two moms. There are plenty of Billies out there that are actually Sallys, things like that. And just because you're not directly impacted, your opinion on something and what you do with that is only being used to hurt others. It's not being used to help your community. It's literally you're using all this time and energy just to target hatred to a group of people that haven't done anything to you besides either help you through just being there and living their lives, working, being your friends and family and all that. But you're targeting them simply because you don't like them. There's not a good reason to say, "I hate gay people." And if your first reaction is, "Well, the Bible says," well, guess what? The Bible says don't eat pork. Don't wear shirts or clothing that have mixed fibers in them. Stone your wife to death if they speak out against you. Well, what says that passage you don't have to follow, but you have to follow something that somewhat implies that gay people shouldn't get married or something?
Yeah. A lot of
Yeah.
people will select passages from the Bible and make it the truth. Like, I'm Christian.
Mhm.
I'm hardcore Christian.
Yeah.
And I think I always just think about what Jesus would do. Like, you guys are familiar with Jesus.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and
Oh, yeah.
what he walked with the hookers. He walked with the drug dealers. He
Mhm.
walked with everyone. People with leprosy, people that were casted out.
Yeah.
And like criminals. And he doesn't go out and say, not that some of these things are right, because obviously like we're all sinners.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like you love others and you are compassionate to them. And then the people make it so complicated. Like, look at this passage on John 1. And it's like, no, like you just talk to people, you love them.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of where I want to head with this podcast direction. I would just want to make people feel heard. And you know what? If they're wrong, then maybe they're wrong. But I'll hear them out. If that's the truth, it's the truth. And I may not agree with everything what they said, but we'll hear them out. And we can still connect, still have a good time, could change my mind, and we're constantly evolving.
Yeah.
Right. But at the end of the day, every single person deserves love. Like every single person. And there's so much like hate and judgment today. I think that's always been the case, right? But like an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. And holding grudges, like holding a grudge is like drinking poison, and expecting the other person to get hurt. Stuff like that, where like there's so many sayings that like make it visualized. Life is just like simple. You shouldn't carry all this hate. You shouldn't carry all these grudges, and you just try to love each other. I know it's not that easy, because we all got our traumas, and we all got like laws we don't agree with, and we all got these things, and this person did that. We're pointing fingers. But I say at the end of the day, we're just all trying our best. We're all human, and I think we all deserve love and respect. But yeah, man, you mentioned, when we took a little break, there's something that you mentioned off camera about like something that you forgot to mention. What was it?
Oh God, yeah. Furry thing. Yeah. So just a little detour. Misconceptions about the furry community. I already brought up the big one about people thinking we're attracted to animals. Still a no. That hasn't changed. Another thing that people seem to think is that we identify ourselves as part animal. Oh, and that just reminds me of the other thing that I will bring up as well. But people think that we identify as animals on like a physical or mental or spiritual level.
Did you ever watch that or hear about that documentary on What Is a Woman? It was really controversial, but like I watched the whole thing, and the woman there, or I forget, she identified as a wolf. And I think that's kind of the misconception, because people think about like furry and they think of like the worst case scenario.
Exactly.
But like, sorry, I cut you off.
No. I get what you mean. No, people that identify as animals in that like a more literal sense, those are called otherkin, or I forgot it was like thespians, therians, something like, not thespians, therians, something like that. There's internet people out there that know what I'm talking about. Basically just people that identify as animals. And as a friend said, there's a Venn diagram between the two, and otherkin and all that is a very small intersection between the furry community and that. There's a small intersection. So some people that think that, sure, there are some otherkin that identify as furries, but not all furries think that way. They're two separate things entirely. Some people might think that way, and that's a different issue entirely. But that's not what being a furry is. Like, yes, peanut dog, but there's a person in here, and I know I'm that person. I'm a guy under here. I don't get out of this, and that segues into the other thing. There's all these misconceptions that furries in schools want, what was it, litter boxes in schools. Oh, good God. Are you kidding me? No. That's been, I don't know if Canada has this rumor spreading around or whatever, but in the US, they're saying, oh, all these people identifying as cats that want litter boxes. And it's like, no, what?
It's definitely maybe like the people assume the worst, or they see one clip, this person, the worst of the worst, and they think they're all,
exactly.
You guys are all like that.
I think the thing it originated from was like Oklahoma or something. There was like a picture of litter boxes or I don't even think it was just like cat litter sitting in a closet. And there and some news organization or some
Mhm.
social media thing took it and said, see all these furries needing cat litter in schools to go to the bathroom. And it's like the original thing with that was that it was for like tornado cleanup because it's good for like cleaning up water or something like that, or spilled, I don't know, like gasoline. Basically, it was for something completely innocuous and unrelated. And it's gotten to the point where like Texas passed a bill called the Furries Act, and it basically says, no non-human behavior or outfits or anything. And it's again, it's a solution in search of a problem, because it's like, you might see like kids in the hallways wearing those, like, I don't know, like cat ear headbands or something. That's not like a furry thing. That's just people just doing that for the hell of it. I mean, they might be furries, but like, okay.
Yeah, I seen that.
Like,
Some people in my class do that.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
but we're not gonna wear fursuits like to school. That's not something people are advocating for. That's not something the furry community wants. This thing is expensive, man. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna wear this like to school or something, like on a regular basis. Are you kidding me? Especially not high school. Oh my god. Like,
You'd get
are you kidding?
torched.
Yeah, it's like, well, it's, I mean, a high schooler affording a fursuit
Yeah.
on their own anyway. I mean, good for them,
dude,
but
high school's a dog eat dog world, man.
rar. Yes, indeed. And it's like, we're not we're not trying to twist education, or not educate, but like schools. We're not trying to twist like schools or public accommodations or anything to fit our needs. We're not like, that's not a thing that the furry community wants. We're people that on the side, I want to go down to the park maybe and dance around as this and give out stickers to people or something. But I'm not going to go to school and say,
Mm.
you know what? I feel like the litter box today, because why not? No. And if people are saying that they want to use a litter box, that's not a furry thing. That's just them being weird. Like, not even necessarily a good weird. That's just like, ew.
Fair
Why
enough.
would you do that?
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
geez, maybe you need some mental evaluation.
Please.
Yeah, but dude, thank you so much for coming on a long-term podcast today, Peanut.
Mhm. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Do you have any last words for the people who might feel lost and maybe they want to try out the furry thing, but they are scared of what their family might think or what their friends might think? What do you have to say to them?
just be you. Honestly, don't let other people say you have to be something else. You might have to maybe hide some things, and that's okay. That doesn't make you less of a person. That doesn't make you less of who you are. And that it doesn't, you're not a bad person for thinking what you think. It makes you human. You know, if you're scared and worried about what other people think, that's okay. But there are other people out there that see you and they love you and they want you to be yourself. And Peanut wants you to know, whether you're furry or not, you're human, and that's what matters. You're you. Don't let someone say that you can't be you just because they don't want that to be you. Be your own you. Don't be someone else's.
Yeah. Thank you, bro. And yes, as always, to everyone listening, there is a place for you in this chaotic world. Never lose hope. Strengthen your faith and keep it long term. Peanut, everyone, from Idaho, exchange student, the U of A. All right, guys. Peace.
Yay.
Solid.